Today, I'm gonna give you the 411 on Content ID, what it is, and how it benefits you as a producer. Let's dig into it. What's up, people? This is Clint with Airbit, and I'm excited to talk about Content ID today. This is something that gives producers another opportunity to create another stream of income. So I'm gonna give you the details on what Content ID is, walk you through the process on getting your beat set up for Content ID, as well as tell you what can actually be monetized through Content ID. So let's start off by talking about what Content ID is, YouTube Content ID specifically. So what YouTube Content ID is it's a system that pretty much recognizes your music being used in someone else's video, and then it takes that video, throws an ad on it, and it forwards that ad revenue to you as the beat maker or the owner of that particular copyrighted material. So how does Content ID benefit you as a producer? Well, it creates another stream of income for you as a producer, right? So not only will you get that initial beat sale or beat lease, but you can also on the back end monetize it by entering that beat into the Content ID system. So now every time an artist, uses that beat in their YouTube video, you're gonna get forwarded that ad revenue from that video on the back end. And as long as that video is earning ad revenue, as long as that video has ads being displayed on it, you're gonna get a portion of that ad revenue. It also allows you to see exactly who's using your beats, right? So every time that system picks up your beat being used in a video, in your Content ID dashboard, you're gonna see those videos. So you can see exactly who's using it, which videos are using it, and you'll know exactly who's using your music. Another great benefit to this is if you wanna keep track of the number of video streams and things that those artists who have purchased your beats are racking up on those videos, it allows you to be able to keep track so that, they're staying within the terms of the lease or license agreement that they purchased. So if they exceed those numbers, you can reach out and be like, hey, I know it's about time for another lease, let's go. So how exactly does Content ID make you money? So advertising is big, right? YouTube is the second largest search engine out there and is owned by the largest search engine out there. So everybody's on YouTube, right? So companies will pay YouTube to advertise on other people's videos, and you get a portion of that revenue. So companies will actually pay YouTube to advertise their products or services on other people's videos. So pretty much the company will create an ad, the company pays YouTube and say, hey, I want you to play this ad over these videos or videos that may be related to, our product or service. And then YouTube passes you a portion of that ad revenue as the owner of that content. And we're referring to the beat specifically being used in that YouTube video. But this is something to keep in mind. Just because ads are displayed on a particular video doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get paid every time that ad shows up. The ad has to serve its purpose. So if there's an ad and it has a skippable button and you skip that ad or someone else skips that ad, then that ad didn't serve its full purpose. Therefore, you won't get paid for that particular ad. Someone has to watch that ad all the way through so that revenue can be earned on that ad. Once you accumulated ad revenue for the previous month, you'll get paid out at the end of the following month, all of the ad revenue that you've accumulated for that previous month. But you'll only get paid that ad revenue if it's above $5. And the dope thing is you can easily add your PayPal account to automatically get those payments. So there's no extra work you have to do on your end. You just enter your beats in the Content ID, put them out there, allow them to generate revenue for you, and you just sit back and get paid every month. It's kind of dope. Not only that, but you get to keep 80% of the ad revenue earned. So that's like most of the pie. Okay, so let's talk about exactly what you can and cannot monetize. So the beats that you monetize, because you can monetize beats, must be 100% owned by you exclusively, right? So you can't have any loops or royalty-free samples or things like that in your beats. It has to be 100% created and owned by you. Otherwise, you can just run into issues that you just don't want to run into. If you didn't create it yourself, then just don't monetize it. If you sell loops on Airbit, loop packs and things like that, you cannot monetize those individual loops. You also can't monetize full songs. It can only be the beats, the instrumentals. No matter how much of the beat being used, Content ID will pick that up and it will place a claim on the video. Also, you can only monetize your beats through one company. So if you're using Airbit for YouTube Content ID, then that's the company you have to use. If you're signed up and you have beats registered with another company, say Song Trust, for example, because they do Content ID as well, then you'll have to make sure either you take it down from Song Trust or you take it down from Airbit. Just has to be one or the other. Otherwise, it creates confusion and a headache for everyone involved. And when there's conflict with everyone involved, nobody gets paid, and you don't want that. Okay, so let's talk about who can actually apply for Content ID. Anybody on Airbit. So if you have an Airbit account, whether it's free or paid, you can apply for Content ID. One thing to keep in mind though, if you have a large catalog of beats and you want to monetize all of those beats, you want to make sure you upgrade to a paid account so that you'll have more flexibility in the number of tracks that you can register for Content ID. Now, just because you apply for Content ID doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get accepted. You still have to make sure you meet Airbit and YouTube's terms and conditions when it comes to monetization. But as long as you meet these terms and conditions, you'll have no issues monetizing through Airbit. Doesn't matter the quality, the style, the location, we do not discriminate. Okay, now I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to apply for YouTube Content ID. Okay, so if you don't already have an Airbit account, go to airbit.com/register, sign up for an account, pick whichever one you want. That way you'll be able to log in. If you already have an account, then you know what to do. Go to airbit.com and log in. Make sure you have at least 10 beats uploaded in your account. So now you want to go to your dashboard, go to monetization. You want to click on YouTube Content ID. Here's where you'll fill out the application form with some basic details such as your name, email, URL, etc. Then you want to click submit, and then you'll know within 7 business days if your application has been approved or not. So now you have 2 ways to submit beats, right? So the first one is going to be by clicking the submit to YouTube Content ID checkbox. When you upload your beats, this is usually the easiest way to just get it done and out the way while you're in that upload process. Or you can submit beats by selecting your existing beats. This is done by going to monetization, clicking on YouTube Content ID, and clicking that green submit button on the top left. You'll be presented with a new window where you can select which beats you want to submit for monetization. It's that simple. Now, there may be times where you want to remove beats from monetization. You know, for example, like if you sold exclusive rights and you don't want to claim that anymore. This can be done by heading to monetization, clicking on YouTube Content ID, and then you can view your list of submissions. Now you want to click on the menu icon on the right and then click remove selected. And then you can remove beats in bulk by clicking the checkbox next to the relevant beats first. This will remove the beats from distribution and stopping future claims. However, it will not release existing claims. This can be done from the managing your claims dashboard or contacting support at airbit.com. Another thing to keep in mind is that you'll also need to remove your beats from distribution before you can delete them from your Airbit account. You'll be prompted to do this if you try to delete them without removing them from distribution first. So it's kind of hard to mess up. Now, every now and then you'll have to manage some claims. You may get a claim that someone disputes because they feel like, a mistake has been made, or, you've given someone an exclusive license to where, you can remove those claims or that content ID or that track from that system. So this is normal. It happens from time to time, and this is how you manage those. So when a dispute is filed, you'll be notified via email and your dashboard. At that point, you'll be able to review the dispute details on the claim details page. So you can get to that by going to dashboard, monetization, clicking on YouTube Content ID, and then clicking on claims. At this point, you'll have 2 options. You can either remove the claim or request reinstatement. The dope thing about YouTube Content ID is that you can still capitalize and monetize free beat. So if you're giving someone a free beat so they can test out your production and just kind of build trust with you, you can still enter that beat into YouTube Content ID and still make money from it. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that just because your beat is entered into YouTube Content ID doesn't necessarily mean you will always make money. It just depends on the amount of views that, you know, a particular YouTube channel is getting or video is getting. If the views are very, very low, then you may not see a lot of money. But if the views are high, it can add up. Another dope thing about YouTube Content ID and registering through Airbit is if your channel hasn't met the qualifications to be monetized, you can still earn through Content ID with registering with Airbit. If your YouTube channel is already monetized and it meets the qualifications and you're already earning ad revenue, you want to make sure you whitelist your channel so that that ad revenue can go directly to you, or you could just do nothing and the ad revenue would just come through Airbit and then ultimately end up in your hands anyway. We also recommend adding any YouTube usage or content ID rights in your contracts as well, so that language will be there and customers will know what to expect, and it'll make dealing with disputes and claims a little bit easier. For example, if someone disputes a claim that's made on their video and in your contract it says you will monetize, you know, subsequent videos, then you can rightfully reinstate that dispute. One more thing to keep in mind is that beats only earn revenue from the day they match a video and form a claim. This means if you submitted your beat for monetization and a video that had 100,000 views before you submitted that beat, you're not gonna get paid from, you know, all the ads that was shown on that video up to 100,000. It's gonna start once that claim is formed, and it's gonna count for the views starting at that point, not from 0 to 100,000. It will start from 100,001. Make sure you enter your beats into YouTube Content ID the day you register them and put them out there for sale so you can start earning as soon as possible. Now, I know there was a lot of information in this video, but I hope it was helpful and I hope it gave you a deeper and better understanding of YouTube Content ID, how it can benefit you as a producer, and exactly how to get those beats monetized through Airbit. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you join us over on the Airbit Discord community and hang out with us. The link to that will be in the description. I am out, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.